Welcome everyone to the VITA Accelerator Demo Day 2023. I am more than glad to be here 1 year after the wonderful afternoon we spent together last year this time, and glad to be in Rome at Frontiers Health that has clearly established itself as one of the most important conferences when it comes to digital health, I would say, in Europe and all over the world. It is a fortune for me, I guess for the organizers of the Demo Day VITA and for the VITA Accelerator program, and for the founders, obviously, to be part of such a wonderful international event. My name is Francesco Cerruti, as you can see from the screen. I am the Managing Director of Italian Tech Alliance. That's the association that unites basically all the VC, the venture capitals active in Italy, and the most important scale-ups of the Italian ecosystem, being them coming from life sciences and from many other sectors. We are proudly ecosystem partner of VITA, and today is exactly the day in which we will know more about what happened this year with the VITA Accelerator program, and obviously we will also listen something more from the VITA team about the future plans of the program. Let me start with giving you some numbers, some scenario about the Italian ecosystem of innovation. As you might know, Italy is still, and we have to be clear and honest about it, periphery when it comes to investments into innovation at the European level. Italy is, by I would say pretty much every criteria, the third country in the European Union, talking about size, talking about population, talking about economy. When it comes to investments into startups, into innovative enterprises, we are number 9 in Europe in 2022. Even if this situation obviously is not very good, I am pretty happy to tell you that we are seeing some sign of progresses. 2022 has been a breaking record year when it comes to investments directed to startups in Italy. 1.8 billion have been invested into startups in Italy. They were 1.2 billion in 2022, which means a plus 48% year to year. 2023 is a very difficult year from many reasons. I guess that you all agree with me when I say this. Therefore, the numbers will not be as brilliant as they were in 2022, but still we are witnessing, and also I would say the startups and the partners of VITA Accelerator are telling us this, that there is a really sincere interest by international investors about the Italian ecosystem. Also because, as I said before, when the third country in the EU ranks at number 8 in a specific criteria, it means that there is an enormous room for growth. This is agreed by the international community of investors in innovation, and there is a sincere interest by being more active also when it comes to investing in Italian startups. Talking about life sciences is between sector number 4 and number 5 in terms of investments and rounds. Just to give you some numbers, in 2022, at the end of the year, obviously, we have seen 34 rounds raised by Italian startups active in life sciences for a total of 162 million. In the first 9 months of 2023, there have been 24 rounds for a total amount of million raised, which was 105 million. So the numbers are not so far from 2022. Obviously, you would all agree, I assume, with the fact that life sciences, which is, let's say, the bigger brother of digital health, is historically one of the sectors in which Italy has been on the forefront. And also when it comes to innovation, to startups, we can say that together with fintech, for example, it is one of the precious pearls of the Italian ecosystem of innovation. Coming back to VITA Accelerator. VITA Accelerator, as you all know, is the digital health accelerator of GDP accelerator networks. And after we will, among the other panelists, have the pleasure to listen from Stefano Molino from GDP Accelerator, GDP Venture Capital Accelerator, what he thinks about this, and not only this. It is born as a joint initiative with Healthware Group. Let me also be institutional in thanking the most important partners of VITA Accelerator program, which will be represented in the panel that I will have the pleasure to moderate in a few moments. They are Z-Cube, the innovation partner. They are Petrone Group and Sifi Group, the corporate partners, and Orric, the technical partner. Together with these partners, you will see, I don't see, eccolo, there you will see a very long list of enterprises, associations, and other friends of VITA that have strongly contributed to the success of this program. The afternoon is pretty packed. We will have a panel. Then we will have the 6 startups, which are the protagonists of the afternoon that will introduce themselves to you. And then Anastasiya Markvarde, the women behind all of this, will tell us something more about the future and what happened this year in VITA Accelerator. Please, let me welcome in the sofa the people who will accompany us in the next 25 minutes. Therefore, I'm more than happy to call Paolo Borella, the Managing Director of VITA Accelerator, to sit on the sofa. Please, Paolo. Mats Lontoft, Venture Partner at Accelerace. Stefano Molino, I already talked about him. He's the Senior Partner, Head of Fondo Acceleratori at GDP Venture Capital. Then we have Andrea D'Alessandro, the Executive President of Open Zone by Z-Cube. Claudia Rinaldi, the Business Development Director at Petrone Group. And then, last but not least, Francesco Giuliano, please Francesco, Senior Manager, Business Development and Alliance Management at Sifi Group. I will now move to the sofa to share with our panelists some questions. I will start from you, Paolo. Paolo, you have been the godfather of VITA Accelerator. I remember talking to you about the program before, actually, the program was born. Can you tell us something more about your feelings after 2 years? What are the key learnings? What do you have in mind, possibly for the future? I mean, tell us something more. That's your baby, finally.
Yeah, thanks. Actually, first of all, thanks. It's a great thrill. I'm pleased and thrilled to have the opportunity to be here and with such great partners. I think it's been an intense journey, but it's been quite rewarding since, my main motivations was to come back to Italy and help to develop the ecosystem, bring some of the networks, some of the knowledge, and, well, some of the sweat work to help to make it happen and to progress. And actually, I'm very happy to see that, if I compare to how I saw Italian ecosystem a few years ago, how it was, 3 years ago when we started to work on this, and what is now, there is a huge progress. Well, thank you to Stefano here. He'll talk more about what they do, but I think that there's been, these great structural efforts to do. And I think that, the journey has confirmed that there is, in my opinion, huge potential in Italy. Still not all of it tapped. So there's still plenty of potential untapped that we can work on. And I'm thinking about, technology transfer from university, helping to change a little the culture, helping to internationalize more the ecosystem. So from that point of view, I'm very happy we can run a program like VITA Accelerator with such amazing partners, as you've mentioned and we have here. But even the ecosystem partners that are contributing, like Italian Tech Alliance and so on. And so we've been able to build a very healthy ecosystem around the program that is helping us to progress and deliver value to the startups that we are helping, and as well as to the partners. So I'm pretty thrilled. I think it's still a long journey. I mean, there's still plenty of opportunities we can keep working on to tap into the potential and unlock more opportunity and value for the whole society and for the whole ecosystem in Italy.
Thank you, Paolo. Shifting to Stefano. Stefano, I guess that most of you know Stefano is the mastermind behind the network of accelerators that have been created by CDP Venture Capital in the last 2 to 3 years. CDP Venture Capital is something that is present in basically 70% of the market in Italy. We all hope that the new management will continue doing what has been done in an amazing way by the former management. And I would like to ask you, Stefano, too often in Italy we say that we miss a couple of class of investors, therefore institutional and corporate. Do you think that in this very crucial moment for the development of the tech ecosystem in Italy, something is moving in this respect?
Yeah, so thank you for having me here today. It's a pleasure to see also the second batch of the startup of VITA Accelerator. As you said, VITA is a part of a network that we created starting 3 years ago. Now we have 18 programs that are already running in the country, active in all the main sectors and technology that are relevant for the country. And this is, of course, part of the overall strategy, as you said, the CDP Venture is put in place to really enhance the growth of the VC ecosystem, since we are working on all the value chain, from the real seed up to the very late stage. So I think that, the market for us has definitely changed over the last 2 to 3 years. And despite the fact, as you mentioned, that, the global market, the venture capital this year is more challenging compared to the previous one, I think that we are definitely changing the pace of the growth and the change in the environment in Italy, which I think is a good sign. Regardless what will be the number at the end of the year, will be 1.5, 1.6, whatever the amount of investment will come, I think that, it's a different market. It's a different market I've been in this market for the last 15 years, so I saw the changes and the challenges. So I think this is definitely a different market. It's more mature in terms of players, it's more mature in terms of startup, and is more mature in terms of connection with corporate institutions. So I think that more and more that we are seeing corporates that are, joining acceleration program, not only acceleration program, doing many different things, because, open innovation is one of the tools that you need to use to innovate, not the only one, but one of the tools. And I think this is definitely important. We need to continue to push. We need to continue to push in the perspective of connecting startup with corporates, because they speak different languages, no? So it's a matter of it's also a cultural effort, no? To teach to the startup how to talk with corporates, but also to help corporate to dialogue in the right way with the startup. So I think this is definitely something that we need to continue to work, but if you do it in the right way, it is definitely creating value for all the actors. I think it's definitely a matter of attraction also for not just Italian startup, but also international startup, as the current batch of VITA shows. Because when we have the right partner, when we have the right ecosystem, I think we can be attractive also for international startups that are willing to come to Italy, because they see the real business opportunity, not just because Italy is a nice place. So I think this is very important, and we want to continue to enhance this kind of cooperation with the partners. So I'm quite optimistic, because to me this is a different game now compared to what was just 3 or 4 years ago. And on top of that, I think I'm expecting to have more and more also international investors coming in the country. As CDP, we are also working in this specific effort to bring more international, and the effort is not just because there is more money, but it's also because we are aligning ourselves to the international recognized standards in terms of how we do investments, which is definitely the right thing to do, because then you have international investors that can say, okay, I can do my investment in Italy like in any other countries. There is no difference. And so this is definitely what we need to target for the future.
Thank you, Stefano. Stemming from international investors to corporate, I would like to involve Claudia in the conversation, because as we said before, there are few corporate venture capitals active in Italy, but if you talk to the management, to the leadership of these corporates that are active into VC, that are active into tech, they are all really happy about it. They are all able to tell you success stories, to advise to do the same thing to other corporates. So Claudia, from your perception, which would be the recommendation you would do to other corporates, also specifically talking about the VITA Accelerator program, but also enlarging the horizons.
Okay, Petroni Group is an international company. But we are very far from this world, from the digital health economics. And I do very much agree with what Stefano was saying before. We were in need of a translator. So we were looking at startup, but we are not talking the same language. So we have found in VITA a translator, somebody that got us learning how to talk with them, approach with them. And then sometimes, I mean, this was our experience in this last couple of years, mentoring them. So trying to support them as much as possible in order to talk a language that could have been speaking, let's say, by the corporate activities and more by the pharma company rather than from our side, that we are not even a pharma company because we are a service company ourselves in the logistic and distribution. So we are a little bit strange, let's put it like that, in this world. It's like, you know, out of blue.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Claudia. Let me also add Andrea to the conversation and be a bit philosophical with you, Andrea, because we all listen, a lot of people talking about open innovation. There is a very high risk of vagueness when you talk too much about something. Can I ask you, which is your meaning of open innovation and what you do, obviously, at Z-Cube in order to work concretely in the field of open innovation?
Yes, thank you, Francesco. So for us, open innovation is the concept of the cross-contamination among companies, and meaning that what we have invested in and why we are grateful to be partner of VITA is the idea of putting together competencies, capital, corporate companies, startups, and little companies, putting them all together, and the cross-contamination, the exchange of information, the ability to, you know, being mentoring and being tutoring and being working together creates that good environment where then the startups could grow and find potential opportunities and so on. And this is even more important for companies like Zambon. I think we are one of the few who have invested in the idea of a scientific park with labs and offices, not only just a pure concept of real estate. And Z-Cube is our research venture. So we have put also money in order to invest in these companies, in these startups. But the idea is to have them working in a scientific park where they can collaborate together and, you know, take what is the best from the corporate side. And of course, corporate can take the best from the digital startups and the little companies in terms of flexibility, speed, and so on, in terms, you know, of ideas that can be the next step in the healthcare and the life science sector. That is where, of course, we're interested in growing and looking for opportunities. So I think the open innovation, I don't know if how much it is philosophical today. I think it's a lot more realistic and concrete. It means investing in companies and, you know, helping them, having this dialogue with big companies or corporate structures that help them develop and, you know, grow.
The most classical win-win situation.
Absolutely.
Obviously. Thank you. Grazie, Andrea. Thank you much. Francesco, moving our head to VITA Accelerator, I would like to inquire with you what have been your role into the program and what you think are the do's and don'ts that you would suggest to the startups that took part to the program, but more generally to startups that would like to move the first feet into the innovation.
Well, thank you for the question, because it gives me the opportunity to say that it was a very my role is twofold. One is from a personal standpoint. It was a very pleasant experience because I somehow made friends as well in the within VITA. And then there is the professional side, and it's quite articulated because we start from selection. Well, scouting selection is quite rigorous, and because the team here at VITA is very strict, and we have learned many things concerning scouting and selection. We have well, we've been involved specifically for ophthalmology, because that's what SIFI does, specifically in ophthalmology. And but we have not stopped just to scouting and selection, because we've been heavily involved in the work during batch 1 and batch 2, also mentoring startups, and this is the instance that involved GlakoLens, for instance, whereby we provided access to our knowledge. They even visited us. And we provided access to our colleagues specializing in areas that are relevant for them. So other than mentoring, we also supported POC, and this is the instance you'll be able to see when Train will present its pitch. And so in that instance, we provided access to our own clinical data, and I'm not going to say anything else, otherwise I'll spoil the presentation. But it was a very fruitful experience, and there will be a collaboration stemming out from this experience. But VITA was also functional to structuring relationships, also interactions with startups outside of the formal program. So the contribution of Paolo was really pivotal in establishing what is going to be a proper collaboration with Glaucoti, that was a guest team of this batch. And actually, as we speak, letter of intent is going to be, well, is being finalized. We just missed the signatures. And so our role was all round, very pleasant, very formative, I would say. We learned a lot. And what I gather from this experience is, well, the so-called key learnings, that we understood a lot about the digital health arena, but we understood a lot also about ourselves. So we have a better idea of where we can get to, what we can exploit, and we understood also our limitations within this big arena. But this is going to provide the strategy forward for placing ourselves as a player within the digital health arena, and according to our needs and possibilities. So it was a great experience. To the startups, do's and don'ts, I feel like saying keep up the good work, and the best thing they can possibly do is being intellectually honest and transparent, because of the experience we had suggests that transparency is the best attitude you can possibly have in this sort of setup. Otherwise, things don't work well.
Thank you. Thank you. Grazie mille. Thank you very much, Francesco. Mats, we have talked a lot about international investors. In Italy, we have, in some situation, a kind of inferiority complex looking at other countries when it comes to innovation. You come from the Nordics. You are a proud partner, I assume, of VITA Accelerator. I would like to play a little game with you. What's present in Italy in the tech ecosystem which is absent or less strong in the Nordics, and what's vice versa, very strong there and very weak here?
It's a great question, and one that is a bit tricky to answer. So obviously Italy has
also, because you're in a room full of Italians.
Exactly. So I'll just say you have much better weather, much better food. It's amazing. I love everything about Italy. Honestly speaking, there are of course differences, and it's been really exciting. I've been part of VITA now, and this adventure for around 18 months, and it's been quite a discovery. There are obvious differences, but there are also many things that are really changing rapidly. I think Stefano was hinting at it, some of the others were hinting at it. A lot is going on also in terms of bringing Italy up from a more nascent stage, I guess, compared to other European countries. which is really, really exciting to witness. So maybe a tweak, which is not strictly answering your question, I guess, but I think is really exciting for specifically life science and health tech startups. So in Accelerate, that's only part of what we do. In VITA, that's what we do specifically, obviously, with digital health. Now, traditionally, there is a division between pre-seed and seed. We all know that, and that also means seed investors are demanding, requiring, expecting certain metrics, things to be accomplished. And I feel and sense, and I'm bringing it up here because I would really love also to discuss it with some of the people here. We have a lot of bright minds, that the chasm, the link between the two is longer and maybe deeper than in many other sectors. And I feel that a lot of pre-seed investments done, if you don't have a strict life science and health tech mindset, might not get you all the way to a seed round. And conversely, the seed investors, if you don't have a strict understanding of it, might not really be able to encompass that and will not understand the digital health or the health tech startup that is coming, because the metrics don't really add up. You don't have the traction we look for from a traditional B2C or B2B company. So there's something there where I think that both the pre-seed investors and the seed investors, and this is my sense in Italy. I'm not an expert, obviously, in Italy. I've been here for 18 months working as part of VITA, but certainly in the Nordics, where I have a better sense of it, where slowly some investors are coming to an understanding that we need to bridge this, and maybe the seed investors need to reach out a little bit earlier, and the pre-seed investors need to fund a little bit further. So anyway, it's not an exact discussion of the differences, but I think a key challenge in this sector that I've come to learn about. Because just final word, I came into VITA as an absolute novice in digital health. We are agnostic, as I said, in Accelerate, and I've become more knowledgeable about it. And this is one of my key learnings, that it's a challenge that we have to address, I think, and discuss. But I'm very open for inputs. I unfortunately don't have the strict solution for it yet.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mats. We have some more minutes, and I'd like to start a very short second one with you, Paolo. There is, as you all know, an healthware before Iversana, and there will be, actually there already is an healthware after Iversana. Do you envisage, if you can tell us something about it, any changement, any developments also when it comes to the VITA program?
So I have half an hour to answer?
No, you have 2 minutes and 22.
Okay, I'll do it in less. So, first of all, thanks to Ulrich, our technical partner, because he's helping to make happen our deals, but he made happen even the Eversana healthware deal. So, thank you guys. And then I think, when I think about it, it's thrill, but it's something a little further ahead, in the sense that short term, nothing changes. We continue exactly to this. Long term, I think that, I see we have huge, beautiful complementary in terms of territory. They cover, basically, we cover as healthware, Europe, they cover basically the rest of the world. But then we have some complementarity even in the services, especially, for instance, in innovation services and open innovation. So I see a lot of potential there that we can exploit together, especially if we can start to tap into Eversana, strength, plus 7,000 people all over the world. So that's where I see. And I hope that that one can help us to keep on moving forward and help to accelerate the development of the Italian ecosystem, both attracting more international partners, startups, investors as well, and mentors. So I'm positive about it, but yeah, it's something ahead of us, maybe after the end of the program.
Thank you. Grazie, Paolo. Grazie, and congratulations again for what you're doing. Since the next part of our afternoon will be dedicated to the startups, I would like maybe to ask you, bringing this last minutes and talking about the startups. I don't know if without unveiling anything, as you have done before, Francesco, if you want to tell us something more about the startup, the 6 startups that you had the pleasure to see during this program, if there is something that remained in your mind for what you have seen about their potential. I don't know, Stefano, if you want to say something at first, and then just 30 seconds each, and then we'll go to listen to them.
No, I mean, basically, I think, I don't want to spoil anything, so I think it's important that, this event is for the startup first to present their innovation, what they're doing. I think that again, it's a good example of how we can cooperate in an effective way and how we can be attractive. As I said, not just, being part of CDP, of course, our main mission is of course making good investment, but in making good investment, enhancing the Italian ecosystem. This is of course part of what we are built for. but it's not just, you know, addressing only Italian startup, but also addressing also international startup that are willing to create business operation and attracting talent. Because I think at the end of the day that the scarce resource is talent, is not money. No, definitely is not money. It's having the right idea, having the right people. So I think that the more we go ahead, the more we are able to support, enhance, and attract talent. I think that's what we have to do. So I think that's, to me, is a good example of that. And I hope that we'll see something that will become very relevant in the future.
Thank you.
I agree. I mean, I think it's the same for us. I mean, there's no chance that you could do it alone. There's no chance you can be doing something without looking at the external environment and the startups, especially, I mean, if I look specifically at the pharma sector where we are in, I mean, the numbers are so huge, so high that, I mean, even if you want, you cannot be there without looking at this type. And it's not only the, let's say, the middle or small companies that are looking at that. There's any type of company that are looking at the startup. So yeah, without spoiling anything, I think that this type of exchange is fundamental. And I do see, and I hope that it's going to be growing fastly in Italy as in other places in the world. And thanks, you know, to situations and partners like VITA, CDP, and so on, we do see as a company this growing, and now we want to be there as well.
Claudia.
Rules are quite tight and time is off. So I will be very direct to the point. Yes, we are in a national network, and that's the aim of this network. And this is what we have been doing in this couple of years. But we have been gathered and we have absorbed input also from all over Europe, and also not only Europe, I might say, in this couple of years. So maybe next year I would love to see some more of that. And this is my very personal aim, also because as Petrone Group ourselves, we have acquired 2-3 companies around Europe in the last 6 months or so. So as a group, I have to say that we would like to have a better European footprint. But I'm pretty satisfied with what achieved so far. And I leave it.
Yes, as Francesco said, the VITA team is very strict, therefore we have 26 seconds.
Humble professionals with good technologies in their hands. I think they will have the strength to face the challenges ahead. That's what I've seen.
Mats, the last word is yours. If you have the last word, but not the mic.
So I think, honestly, there are differences. You were asking about that, but one thing that is amazing and has been amazing in this batch and the last batch is to see the startups that we're working with and the founders. We have some amazing founders. I think one thing, I know that's not going to happen overnight, but that is sort of the, not so much the regulatory, but the bureaucratic process. That has been, to answer your question from before, the biggest, if not surprise, and at least realization. It's a little bit tougher to do business in that sense for now, but I'm hoping that that will change, because I think that will be a main driver, also linked to what Stefano said in terms of getting even more international investors. Certainly that would be my perspective. So, but amazing startups and waiting for more international funding for sure.
Wonderful. Thank you very much to Mats, Paolo, Stefano, Andrea, Claudia, and Francesco. And then let's go to meet these wonderful founders. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Volevi chiudere? Volevi dire una roba? Please, let's start with the third part of our session. We will move to this part. I don't know if Valeria should have something to guide the slides. Maybe it's that one. Yeah, for the slides? The mic. I have to give you the mic. I'm sorry for this. And just please do stay on the right side of the screen. Make the most of the podium. I would just like to tell you how will this work. We will see 6 startups. The 6 startups that took part of the program. They will have approximately 10 minutes each, and there will be also in this case 3 parts of this 10 minutes. In the first part, I would be pleased to welcome them on stage, and we would like you to know better the founders, the history of the founders. Then there will be the most classical pitch, 5 minutes, and then you'll have the opportunity to make some questions. I will start with Valeria, founder of Holy Help. Valeria's startup is very strongly related to Valeria's story. Yeah. That's why I won't make you any question, because you will tell us your story which goes exactly hand in hand with the story of Holy Health. Please, Valeria, 5 minutes for you.
Thank you, Francesco. Good afternoon, everyone. Can you put, no, I think if you can go back. Right, do you recognize the hair on the screen? It's mine. I'm Valeria Della Rosa, and I'm the mom who's been on the brink of tearing her hair out. And as Francesco said, what you're going to hear today is largely the result of my personal story as a mom, but not only. But I'm here, and you can see I still have a good amount of hair, so hopefully I'll leave you with a good story at the end of this. I did not choose this headline lightly, though. Just about 3 years back, my life took an unexpected turn, and things went completely out of control. It didn't happen overnight, but things did go worse like a snowball, slowly and more intensely. I don't know if you have ever witnessed a child having a meltdown. I'm not talking about a temper tantrum. Well, I can tell you it's extremely scary. You have no idea what's going on with your child. You have no idea how to help him. And what's worse is whatever you do makes it worse. It's a little bit like going through an earthquake. The only difference is the shake doesn't last a few seconds. It lasts an average of 40 minutes. And it's bound to hit you more than once in a day. And it can be triggered by the most mundane things, the toothpaste of the wrong color, passed on the wrong plate, whatever you do it. This can go on for months, sometimes years, and eventually as a parent you feel completely powerless. So there comes a point where you really do need help. But here's the thing, it's really difficult, it's really lengthy or sometimes costly to get that help. And if you're lucky enough, like was my case, that you eventually can get the help because you have the resource, it's very far from actually making your life easier immediately. So you're probably wondering, okay, Valeria, what was the problem with your child? My child was diagnosed with attention deficit and hyperactivity disorder. I'm not going to spend time telling you more about it because I think there's a lot of people who know about the condition. But what I can tell you is it took 2 years and 2 handfuls of clinicians to get a decent picture of his mind. He was also diagnosed with autism and ODD. Comorbidities are the norm because the mind is complex and I would say fascinating. So what we're setting out to do is not to cure ADHD because it's a life condition you're born with and you can't cure, but we are setting out to make life better for everyone involved. I told you there was a bad side of the story, and that's the one you've heard about, but there's also a very good side of the story. My biggest learning in this journey was the fact that if you are able as a parent to change your own behavior, life can get a lot better for everyone, including for the child. And that's what ultimately pushed me to leave my job and create Holy Health. What we're developing clinically is an innovative approach to behavioral parent training. It's already a long-standing pillar of multimodal treatment for ADHD and other neurodevelopmental disorders. But what we're looking to do is to build an app that uses science and technology to empower these parents to have so that they can have a transformative impact on their children's life, helping them to thrive. The logic of the solution is very simple. We help them do 3 things. We help them understand and make sense of their minds, and as I said, that's no easy task. We help them do things differently, because as I said, that's what makes a difference. And thirdly, we help them build a stronger connection with their child, because neuroscience tells us that that's what can make a real difference to brain development. The solution is obviously designed to be clinically safe. That's obvious, but what we're trying to do is, differently from the help that is out there, to be available immediately when you start having problems and readily available 24/7, because unfortunately parents need help during weekends, during the night, at whatever time. And importantly, we want to make sure this help is really practical and actionable. We support parents to do things differently, guiding them step by step. Where does the technology come in? The technology comes in through the engine behind OLI Help, which is OLI, which is obviously powered not just by clinical protocols, but also by artificial intelligence, and helps the personalization of the treatment. So the support becomes more effective with the feedback of the parent and with the evolution of the child profile. As I said, the conditions of these conditions ultimately evolve with the life of the patient. We are aiming to build a digital therapeutic for ADHD and comorbidities, starting with oppositional defiant disorder, but obviously we won't be able to do that overnight. So how big is the market? The simple answer is 1 in 20 children. That means 1 per classroom. Except if it's a boy, you're likely to notice. Well, if it's a girl, you're very likely to not notice, because girls tend to internalize symptoms, but it doesn't mean they don't need help. And I didn't choose the classroom metaphor coincidentally. It's because actually that's the time when parents start acknowledging that their children might need a different type of help, or maybe the teachers notice them. I'm sure all of you who have children may know someone who had this kind of experience. But as I said before, it may take years before you actually get the practical help that these parent needs. In Italy, for example, parent training is provided free of charge, but to this date, 3.5 years down the line, I'm still on a wait list, right? So it may be too long to satisfy parents, or, as is the case of the US, it may be extremely costly. At the end of the day, depending on the health market system, what we know is that less than 30% of patients access parent training, even though clinically we know that the most effective form of treatment is not only medication plus parent training, but we now know that if we introduce parent training before medication, it's more likely to lead to positive outcomes. So, while we'd love to go and help all the 120 million families out there, we're obviously not going to be able to do it immediately. So what we're setting out to do is to test our model directly with parents in 3 markets. We're building the app immediately in Italian and English. And we chose these countries because they have a diversity of healthcare system that allows us to see, how we would do things differently. Ultimately, as I said, our ambition is not just to go B2C. We'd like this solution to be reimbursed or reimbursable by the healthcare systems or by insurance, but it's not going to happen overnight. So I told you about myself. But I'm not just the mom who's been tearing her hair out. I've got 20 years of management and technology experience, and I think what I'm good at is bringing together teams. In this case, our teams bring together the scientific, medical, tech, and design expertise that I believe can actually make this happen. You have some of our teams here, but what you see here is not our full team. In fact, even though we started out effectively in March as a company, we have everything we need to deliver the MVP. We've been backed by American, German, and Italian investors, and our main objective now is to deliver the MVP and launch in Italy. We also have agreed a pilot clinical study, because as I said, our ambition is also clinical in nature, and this will allow us to test the effectiveness of the solution primarily first of all, on parental stress. So I think now I've told you what actually brought me to create OLI Help, but importantly, I hope I gave you an idea of what we're aiming to do with OLI Help. If by any chance you're interested in this story and what we wanted to achieve, you're obviously welcome to join our journey in whatever way you want to. You can follow us, you can talk to us, and we'd be very glad to bring more people on the path.
Thank you very much, Valeria. Thank you very much. Congratulations for everything that you're doing. Valeria will stay with us at the end of the presentation of the other startups. Unfortunately, the time is running out for no Q&A publicly, but I'm sure that Valeria and the team would be more than happy to answer bilaterally to any questions you may have. Grazie, Valeria. Thank you very much again. Now, let me continue with the second founder, which I don't see for the time being. I don't know where Giuseppe Capasso is. Please, Giuseppe Capasso, CEO of BPCOMedia. Join me on stage. Giuseppe, let me, as I said before, we want obviously to know your startup better. We will be able to hear you in a second. We want to know better your startup, but we want also to know better the founders. We got to know better Valeria through the story of the startups. Your story is a bit separated from the story of BPCOMedia. Can you tell us, you're from Sardinia, if I remember correctly. You now live in Switzerland. Which was your let's say, your life path? What brought you from there to here, let's say?
Okay. Thank you, Francesco. And I'm very happy to stay here and to participate in the Accelerator program. And I met several people very strong. And I learned a lot of things that I used in my job. I'm Giuseppe Capasso. I come from Cagliari, but I stay in Bolzano because Bolzano supported us by funds to make research projects, okay? A lot of money to the research project for the develop the device, certification, and so on. I'm the CEO of BPCOMedia, and the main office is in Bolzano, but we are also an office in Rome because we are a spin-off of the Campus Biomedico of Rome, University Campus Biomedico in Rome, and we are there. We have the research laboratory where we study chronic disease and the problem of these pathologies, and where we going to try to resolve this problem using new technologies and artificial intelligence.
Wonderful. So now, please tell us.
Okay, thank you.
Let's start with the BPCOMedia pitch. Please.
Today I show you BPCOMedia, the medical device for the early detection of COPD exacerbations. Okay, what is COPD? COPD is a very important respiratory disease. Is the third cause of the death in the world with a prevalence of 5% of the population in the world, with 418 patients in the world. And the first cause of death and hospitalization in these patients are exacerbations. So the scientific community have a very strong problem, but also a very strong need for an early detection and diagnosis of COPD exacerbations. Cost of COPD, Europe, 38 billions, Italy, 6,000 millions, and the most important concept is that exacerbation are directly connected to these costs. The solution, BPCOMedia, is the first and only medical device capable of preventing and early diagnosis exacerbation. It is composed to an oximeter, an app, where inside the app there is a small object called DLL, is the artificial intelligence and predictive algorithm specific for COPD. The app is not a general app. It's a medical device, a software medical device, class 2A, specific for COPD. And this device is promoted by IPO. IPO is the most important association pneumology in Italy, scientific association pneumology in Italy. The performance. We did several research studies, and we have several publications. And the algorithm have accuracy of 98.4% to detect early exacerbation. Also, the performance of the physician using the suggestion of our device to detect are the 92% the capacity to detect early detect exacerbations, and versus 46% without use our device. And study conducted on cohorts of patients have demonstrated a reduction in exacerbation by 50%. Okay, we have a talk about COPD, but the device is not only COPD. The device can be used in patients suffering from respiratory or non-respiratory pathology, as heart failure. And otherwise, more generally, we can use this device where can have a useful use to monitoring the trend of respiratory and cardiac function of the patients. Okay, these slides show you our patent. We have a 7 EP patent granted. USA, Europe, Brazil, Russia, China, Japan, Hong Kong. Just one we are waiting still for the patent. It is still pending in India. BPCOMedia competitor. There are several devices can be considered competitors of our technology, but they give a reading of different parameters and usually carry out control function on adherence to the therapy, on the state of the health of the lungs, on the patient lifestyle, but they don't use any algorithm. They don't take into account the diversity of the patients. They don't provide personalized response. They don't help to prevent exacerbations. Our business model, it's a subscription model. What we sell the oximeter, the app, and the cloud for patients and hospital facilities, and they pay an yearly subscription. In other words, we sell the medical device as a service. Traction, we are already in the market. We are already sold 2,000 devices. We are now closing several agreements with several hospitals in Italy. This year, we did a national project with IPO and support of GSK in a national telemonitoring system with 75 doctors and 350 patients. This year, we have signed a pre-commercial agreement with two big players in Italy, GPE in Trento and Vodafone, to make a solution for the regional telemedicine platform using PNR phones. The last, we are opening with the support of IPO a national monitor center for preventive patients and for public facility. Our team, as I said, we are a spin-off of the Campus Biomedical in Rome. So thanks to the university, we have a team with multiple competencies in artificial intelligence, clinical, and business experience. I'm Giuseppe Capasso. I have a computer science degree, and I am the founder and the CEO. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Grazie, grazie Giuseppe. Thank you. I guess that, grazie, lascia pure. I guess that also in this case, some of you would have liked to make questions to Giuseppe. You are the second out of two that finished the time with the presentation. So please, you're done with that. We have finished our time.
Ah, okay.
A posto, si è andato lungo, now, please, thank you very much. I'll call on stage Simone Melchionna, CEO of MedLea. Again, theoretically, the idea was to have 5-minute speech. Therefore, as of now, if you want to stick to the 5 minutes, it's better maybe for you because you'll have also the opportunity to engage yourself in the Q&A. Simone,
okay,
thank you. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm delighted to be here. My background is in science and technology. I've been in academia for about 20 years, 10 years in corporate R&D, and then I started a first startup in the US, which is still active today. That was a good business, but not fully scalable. And then a couple of years later, I came back to Italy and decided to start MedLea. And being a scientist entrepreneur, I know what happens under the hood. I know how to twist and drive the technology in order to get the best of that lemon. And that, I think, is my best value here. And clearly, being an entrepreneur means completely changing your mindset. You need a strong motivation to go out of very secure jobs, and you need to go out in the wild and learn a completely different mind game.
Yeah, that's what we were discussing before, right? I mean, the idea to change from being a researcher to being an entrepreneur is possibly the most complicated things from someone who has developed the first part of the career as you have done in the research field, right?
It's a very important change, and of course you need to be very prepared for what's going to happen. But of course you have a lot of legacy that you bring with yourself. You're able to look at things and problems and solving complex problems very scientifically, very technically, and that I think it's a very important value here.
So we are thrilled to know more about MedLea. Thank you very much. Please, Simone.
Sure. So MedLea is a company that builds digital twins for predictive lung health. So many people in this world have respiratory problems, as the previous speaker mentioned. And if a radiologist or pneumologist has to screen a patient, the diagnostic effort is lengthy. It takes more than 30 minutes, to be optimistic, to screen out nodules, COPD, fibrosis, and functional testing. So because of such a lengthy effort, consequences are that many people miss early diagnosis, timely and accurate visits are often not in place, or people receive wrong therapy. So what is the opportunity here? Well, first, you want to diagnose automatically large volumes of patients. Secondly, you want to anticipate exacerbations or acute conditions. And third, you want to forecast long-term evolutions, in particular for chronic patients. So, as I said, discovery is so important. So some time ago, we came to the conclusion, to the idea, I would say, that we could build a high-fidelity representation of the human lung, personalized lung, something that has all the anomalies, lesions of a pathophysiological person, and we are able to make it breathe. So we call it MedLea breathing lung. So that's a full three-dimensional representation of a person, and that means we can interrogate that model in full, and as a digital twin does, we can predict and look at scenarios of that evolution. So we have, in the last years, we have created a platform that now hosts 2 MVPs. One MVP is about predicting the evolution of this respiratory data. The second one is about extracting biomarkers automatically. Down the road, there will be 2 more products that will be for acute conditions and 1 for vascular analysis. So what we achieved so far is to streamline the extractions of 5 different pulmonary biomarkers by real-time processing, both morphological and functional, something unique in the landscape. And we have run a pilot on over 60 patients and predicted the outcomes over 4 weeks time period. We believe that such a knowledge of the lungs damages in each of us would trigger a lot of personal awareness and improve a lot the self-care. So this is just the beginning of our journey. So what is our offering? Well, it's divided in 3 blocks. First, we want to sell lung data. Lung data means curated pulmonary data and disease-focused. Secondly is diagnostic content. We are able to extract and deliver biomarkers and all the pathophysiological scenarios. Third is the predictive content, which means detecting early precursors and disease progressions over long terms. So I want to describe what we did with Zambon, the pharmaceutical company that is present here today. So we had the target of studying a high mortality pulmonary disease. This has about $200 billion loss yearly, globally. And this disease is still unknown. So through Zambon, we had the support for framing the problem, understanding the clinical needs. And so we made a feasibility study, mapping out all the data around, in particular in the Italian territory, and all the clinical stakeholders. So we realized, by talking to them, that we can anticipate through our technology the precursors of such disease by 3 months in advance. And experts tell us that by having that 3 months advance, we can reduce mortality by 20% and 50% in cost saving, which is pretty large, besides improving operational costs. So the business potential here is globally about 200 million, and that's why we launched a project with 3 key hospitals, which are experts on this disease. So our value proposition is basically grouped in 2 main blocks. One is pharmaceutical. We can provide drug assessment at preclinical level and post-market assessment in real-world scenarios. We have already 2 leads in place. And the second one instead is clinical, which is about providing decision support and also cover research streamlines with other 2 leads in place. Our pricing strategy is tiered. So we sell to different actors here, but it is a B2B business, fully scalable and repeatable. And it's reported here, but for details, please ask me later on. So landscape. Landscape is very favorable to us because we have seen that as compared to current competitors, our solution is much more informative, accurate, and way faster. Actually, our solution is real-time. And more importantly of all, we own completely the technology, which allows us to be much more flexible in customizing and scaling in different segments. We have some traction already by a number of leads in private clinics, in telemedicine, in pharma, and we believe we can turn some of these leads into contracts soon. So we have a financial need to pursue our project. We have raised already 250K, but we need 1.2 million to cover a 24 months runway. And this money will be used for product release, team growth, and to cover our first go-to-market. So the roadmap here is reported for the first 2 years. We have already reached the technology readiness of level 7, but the end of year 2 is going to be level 9. We have released an alpha version, cleared the certification pathways, and now we have to go through MDR regulatory pathway. And by the end of this year 2, we will have 3 customers secured. After that, we'll enter the diagnostic market. So everything is possible where you have an outstanding team helping you, and we are 8 complementary strengths and talents, 6 PhDs, and we all share the same vision about the future of MedLea. So thank you very much. I want to recap. What we offer is a unique all-in platform for automatic lung diagnosis, real-time medical response that cut costs by 86%, and we need support for 1.2 million for a 4 billion market opportunity. Thank you very much for your attention.
Grazie, thank you, Simone. Well, we won't have the time for a question from the audience, but I use the power of being the moderator to ask you something, and you would be able to answer in 30, 35 seconds. Since you are a finance guy now, you were a researcher, now you're an entrepreneur, can you tell us something more, but really in 20 seconds, about the KPIs of MedLea?
So first and foremost, we need to raise funds. So by the end of this process, we will have a fully blown product ready for the market. We will do some projects beforehand, which means we are going to have at least 300K in revenues by the end of year 2. What is important is that the following year, we will enter the diagnostic market by going class 2. That means that we are going to go into a next round, acquire clinical data, and that's really where we are going to scale up. So first 2 years is about building the model, building the product, having the sufficient confidence in the market, and then going into diagnostics.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Simone. Congrats from MedLea. Obviously, he would be happy to answer any question later on. Grazie. Now, Saverio D'Amico from Train, CEO from Train, who knows if he will be the one who will be able to engage with the audience in the Q&A. All depends in how many minutes you will pitch. Maybe tell us 30 seconds about you, and then let's start with the pitch, and hopefully we'll have some questions from the audience.
Yeah, thank you so much. I am Saverio. I am an ex-researcher from Humanitas Research Hospital, and now I am so crazy to start a new journey with a startup. Doesn't work, maybe? Okay, no, it's a spoiler. Sorry. So we create synthetic data and digital twin for personalized medicine and to improve clinical trials and drug development. Train is a spin-out from Humanitas, which is one of the largest hospital network in Italy. This gives us the advantage to access clinical data and to collaborate with clinical experts. We have many years of experience built on scientific research, collaborative network, and active participation in the European network. But where is the innovation? In medicine, tumors are the leading cause of death worldwide, and 25% of them are rare diseases. These diseases present a lot of unmet clinical needs that affect patients' quality of life. Moreover, the market in rare disease treatment is huge. However, addressing these needs, it's complex, and as you all know, collecting clinical data is a challenge, in particular for privacy issues. So that's the process that we aim to improve. We are developing Mirror, an engine based on generative AI algorithms that create digital twin able to simulate the real patient outcome. With our solution, Mirror Platform, we are able to create realistic and reliable synthetic patients, to predict health outcomes, and to analyze complex data in order to support clinical decision and processes. Mirror Platform is trained and validated on a large amount of clinical, multi-omics, and real-world data from Humanitas Hospital, and it integrates models, advanced models, to create synthetic data that fuels the digital twin. We can create synthetic control arms with specific characteristics for the clinical trial. We also can predict individual health outcome by simulating their response with or without the treatment. Furthermore, we provide evidence in our latest publication that with synthetic data we can accelerate the clinical research. In this example, in the study in question, we're using synthetic data to accelerate the collection of hematological data by 7 years to create an important prognostic score, obtaining the same results as the original study. Our business model is to provide collaboration with partners in order to validate our technologies while generating revenues by selling our models in a software as a service licensing fees. Then we also provide support and AI consulting for partners and customers, helping them in finding how artificial intelligence can help their business and how to extract the maximum value for their data. After years of experimentation, we create a prototype and MVP that we are currently testing through project and POC activities. And after this phase, with the support of Humanitas, of course VITA and other soft fundings, we are planning to release our first version of Mirror in 2024, while starting generating revenues by selling modules and start consulting services. Now I'd like to talk about a few words about our VITA Accelerator experience. Thanks to VITA, we successfully carried out a POC with our partner SIFI in create synthetic data in the ophthalmology domain. I am thrilled to announce that we are able to create this data and we are validating our technologies in this new field. With SIFI, we start also exploring synthetic data for the clinical trial while start paving the way for the regulatory challenges. Our experience with VITA was available, and thanks to VITA, we are able to shape our business opportunity, exploring other applications with our technology, and also establish network for future collaboration. So, in conclusion, our aim is ambitious. We're trying to create technology that can accelerate drug development in 2 or 3 years while improving personalized medicine. So this is a very ambitious aim, and for obtaining this aim, we need a very strong validation track. So we are building these tracks, but we need collaboration with partners and industries that want to use this technology in their clinical practice. So if you are interested in this technology and you want to contribute to the clinical innovation, please feel free to contact me and I will be very happy to provide you further details. Thank you so much. I'm Saverio and we are trained.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Saverio. And now I'm happy to say that if anyone from the audience have questions, Saverio, I'm sure, would be more than happy to take them. Please, there is a question here. Ciao. Please be short with the question because we are very strict with the time, as you have said.
Thank you. Just a quick question. Congratulations for your presentation. Do you collaborate also with Victor from Humanitas?
Victor Savetsky is one of the co-founder of the startup, yes.
Perfect, thank you.
That was really, really fast.
Good question.
I got many questions for Saverio, but I would prefer you, if you have any, to take the floor. If not, I will break the ice. I'm a policy guy, and as you know, as you all know, I guess at the European level there is a very strong, at very late stage work about the Artificial Intelligence Act. Is trained fit with the new requirements that should enter into force pretty soon when it comes to AI regulation, etc., at the EU level?
Good question. Thank you, Francesco. Of course, the regulatory path is incredibly important. And we as Train, beside the technology development, we are also looking for a regulatory path, but not only for how to use synthetic data, but also, for example, how synthetic data can help us to shape ethical AI, or using synthetic data to bring explainable ability to artificial intelligence model to provide more evidence how this software can be used for a human point of view. So absolutely.
Wonderful. Any question from you guys? No? So
thank you so much.
Let me develop a bit more. I want to stay with you at least for 10 minutes. I mean, it's not that you ended up before the pitch and you can leave before. Tell me something more about your competitor, because that's pretty packed, if I the market. That's a pretty packed sector. What do you have more? What do you have? Why are you different?
Yes, of course, we are talking about medical sector, healthcare field. So, and we, of course, are inside an hospital. So we have the opportunity to access the data and performing a very strong clinical validation using the expertise for clinicians and also other medical operation. So that's our most competitive advantages for create a very strong validation pathways in using synthetic data and digital twin specifically for the healthcare sector.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Saverio. Maybe there is a question. We got still... Yeah, please, maybe the mic.
There are different hospitals that also have a similar data set. I was wondering if your strategy is also to expand your data set through collaboration, for example, with other hospital. I'm mentioning Cattolica because I also work there as a contract professor, and they have a lot of data that I don't know if it's complementary or just similar. So if you plan also to expand to other data set, or if you are okay with the data set from Humanitas, which is already quite big.
Wonderful question. Absolutely, yes. We use Humanitas data to train and validate our technologies, but we are also create this platform, mirror platform, to expand to other data and, of course, other clinical field and hospital and so on. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Saverio. Thank you very much. Congrats for training. Please. Now, second last startup, please let me welcome on stage Özgür Kaya, right? Who is the managing director of GlakoLens. As you can hear from the name, Özgür comes from pretty far from Rome. It comes from Turkey. And before listening to the pitch, I would like to ask you, what brought you to VITA, to VITA Accelerator from Turkey?
Well, as a startup, our strategy always contained a European angle, and VITA Accelerator provided us with that opportunity to get our foothold in Italy, in Europe, and also the partners in the accelerator program and the trainings we received in the program were quite lucrative. That's why we are here in Italy at the moment. We significantly benefited with from the mentorship of SIFI, definitely.
Thank you. And then, please, tell us something more about GlakoLens.
Okay, so at GlakoLens, we are developing a smart contact lens system for effective management of glaucoma. Imagine losing your sight, going blind. Currently, 80 million people suffering from glaucoma in the world are living with this fear. Glaucoma is the second leading cause of preventable blindness, and 4.5 million people are blind due to glaucoma globally. Glaucoma progresses without any easily perceivable symptoms by the patients. Therefore, it's also called the silent thief of sight. Even in developed countries, about half of the patients are unaware that they have glaucoma. Glaucoma is mainly caused by ocular hypertension, which is the chronic condition of high intraocular pressure, IOP, and its excessive variation. Conventionally, it is diagnosed with a single Goldmann applanation tonometer measurement conducted at the clinic during daytime. However, IOP fluctuates drastically throughout day and night, and we observe the highest values at night when we cannot get this measurement taken, leading to false negatives and delayed diagnosis. Especially the high variance of IOP is a high-risk indicator for progressive glaucoma. Therefore, key opinion leaders are stating that 24-hour continuous IOP monitoring is necessary since 2 decades. That is why we are developing the GlakoSense platform. Our system is composed of a sensor-embedded contact lens and a wearable antenna integrated with readout electronics placed around the eye, like this. It will be a prescription device to be used only 1 day per month. GlakoSense platform will enable the determination of high-risk carrying patients for developing progressive glaucoma. It will also provide previously unattainable amount of diagnostic information necessary for personalizing the glaucoma management without the requirement of overnight hospitalization. Apart from having the freedom to operate, we are also protecting our proprietary technology with a family of international patents and trade secrets. Our founding team and management team has extensive R&D experience and know-how, and we are supporting this structure with a younger team of 6 engineers with complementary skills. We are complementing the core team with a diverse set of advisors leading to a successful startup structure. We have an ongoing revenue-generating business model thanks to our single-use disposable contact lenses. The star of the show here is our proprietary sensor design, which is extremely cost-effective to manufacture. In comparison to our direct competitor, we can offer 10x reduction of sales price while maintaining significant profit margins. We have several competitors in the market addressing IOP monitoring, and our technology is superior to other contact lens-based solutions with respect to performance, comfort, safety, and cost efficiency. As a spin-off from Boğaziçi University, our journey started as a research project about 10 years ago. We have received seed investment from VC and several grants from prestigious institutions. So far, we have developed several versions of our prototypes and conducted pilot animal and clinical tests, which led to improved designs. We expect to reach design freeze in 2024, followed by a clinical trial completion in 2025. And we hope to enter the market in 2026 after acquiring CE certification. Initially, we need 300,000 euros to improve the prototype and gather additional data, clinical data, for further de-risking our project. However, in order to reach the next big milestone in our journey, which is getting the CE mark, we need 2 million euros. We are also looking for connections with ophthalmologists and clinics. We are GlakoLens. We fight for your sight. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Please, we have time for questions. If there is someone who would like to make any question, Paolo will be happy to bring you the mic. If not, I will maybe break the ice since we got some more minutes. If I correctly understood, the hardware component play a key role in your startup. Can you tell us which are the challenges that are brought by this specific situation in which pretty much not everything, but a lot is on the other part?
Of course. Well, every hardware-based medical device company is suffering from the same things. We have really long development cycles. It's not like in software that you can have a sprint for two weeks and you have a new version of the product. In our case, it takes a long effort of design and risk analysis to be able to start the prototype production. And most of these processes are extremely costly. And even when you reach the design freeze, it takes a lot longer to reach the market because regulatory-wise, you have to conduct lots of tests, production validation tests, and regulatory safety tests. And some are also sterilization tests, clinical trials, stability tests, sterilization stability tests, packaging tests, and storage tests, shelf life tests before you hit the market and to get the CE. So all of these processes are extremely costly and long hauled, actually.
Costly in every sense,
yeah.
Let's say. Thank you. Teşekkür ederim. Do you have any other question? If not, I would please ask you to make a big applause to Özgür and best of luck to GlakoLens.
Grazie.
Now, last but obviously not least, I would please ask Wanda Fiat or Fiat, I don't know, to Fiat to join me on stage. Wanda Fiat is the co-founder and CEO of MediNav. I would like to make you the same question I did to Özgür before. You are from Romania, you live in Austria, if I correctly remember. What brought you to VITA? Why VITA?
Well, we participated in Accelerator, which is a partner program with VITA. I lived in Denmark for 6 years, and I lived a little bit all over the place. But the Italian market is quite interesting for us, and you will see why a little bit later. But also a little bit on my personal story, because I think it's relevant. I'm a data scientist as formation, but I'm also a chronic patient. And the most annoying thing for me when I would visit a doctor would be the fact that the doctor would not listen to me, and we would not have a conversation. We're just more focused on taking notes. And hey, I'm a data scientist, and then I realized, well, we actually have tech to do that. We have speech technology, now we have NLP, and all the crazy stuff. We started this almost 3.5 years ago, and now we're launching in Italy. So, shall I start?
Yep.
Yeah,
thank you.
Thanks. So, MediNav, this is the name of the solution. What we do, we generate structured medical reports from conversation or from voice. One of the biggest challenges in healthcare, I think someone said it before me, is the shortage of staff. Doctors spend on average 80 hours per month. That's half of their daily time just writing down stuff, clicking in the hospital information system, and so on. We can save up to 70% of that. We do have the tech today. Our product does 4 main things. It records on demand the patient and the doctor alone, the patient alone, whatever the use case is. It transcribes with our own models, trained inside, in-house, that we can deploy on-prem. It extracts the relevant information based on a custom template, and when it's corrected, it learns from one day to the next. Our beachhead, or our most interesting use cases, are also the difficult ones: emergency, ICU, cardiology, radiology, and this is also one of our differentiators. So we cannot do everything, we just do the difficult stuff. The feature that enables this is what we call smart templates, and this goes as far as automating the hospital information system. So we go over it, and we can also click for the doctor or the nurse, fill in drop-downs and things like that, as granular as needed. We measured how fast we actually are. So this is a measurement made in the emergency setting. Compared to someone that is experienced in filling in a patient form, we are 3 times faster, including the verification. There is competition. I'm not going to lie, you probably know about them, Nuance being the biggest one. Well, first of all, we decided not to do English, at least not for now. We are present on the Romanian market, which is our home market. We will deploy in Italy, Spain, South America, and possibly Germany. So this is kind of where we are. We do something different. It's what we call hybrid learning. We have medical doctors that help us curate the mistakes made by our models every day, and we push new models every night to all servers, so we leverage network effects. What does the doctor see? It's getting better from one day to the next. So stickiness of the users is very important, and high accuracy, including acronyms, specialist medical knowledge, vocabulary, and all of that. We already have 20,000 patients in MediNav from our home market. We have 4 paying customers, private chains. Affidea will probably take us to Italy as well. Our business model is quite simple. It's usage-based. It's around €1 per patient, and it gets lower as the volume increases. We currently sell to both private and public hospitals, trying to close some of the deals on the public side as well, B2G. And we're learning how to do channel sales, so go through resellers. And this is how we want to scale. We look at the market as the languages that I mentioned earlier and a couple of countries. If we take all the doctor visits, and if for all of those visits they would use MediNav and it would cost €1, our total ARR would be 2 billion per year. Of course, we need to be a little bit realistic. So looking at our beachhead, the specialties that I mentioned earlier, and we are hoping to capture 10% of that in about 5 years. That would be 20 million ARR. So far, we're expecting to have revenue in Romania of 1.7 million, including B2G deals. And we're hoping to replicate this model in Spain and Italy as soon as next year. And this is our sales pipeline for next year. So these are mostly public hospitals, I will admit, because that's where really the money is in reality. And our biggest use case is with the ambulances, the 1 million deal that will mean that we will put MediNav in all of the ambulances of the country. One of our biggest challenge so far is the long sales cycle. And that's why I mentioned channel sales. So what we do, we go to these public tenders with system integrators such as Vodafone. We are becoming now an official partner of Vodafone, and hopefully they can take us to more customers and scaling down on the direct sales. We will still do direct sales with key hires, but we want to be very good at distributing through the channel. So far, we've raised 350K in the last 3 years. We want to grow this year to roughly 1 million patients. We are raising from CDP. We have a round that we're closing now together with VITA, and we still have 200K open. And for next year, we're hoping to have at least 10 million patients in MediNav. Our team is quite diverse, so I'm the data scientist, but we do have medical experience as well. Philips Healthcare, we have 2 doctors, we have business experience with previous exits. So, yeah, I think we have the tools to do it. If you are to remember just a couple of things about us, is that we do structured reporting, so we structure data. We save almost 70% of the time spent with the boring stuff. My email, wanda@medinav.eu, and my name is also Fiat, so if you see me on LinkedIn, you know, trying to hunt you down, possibly you will remember that, and we're looking for 200K now. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Congrats. Any question from you? That would be the last possibility to make question publicly, because it's the last startup. If not, there will be, I don't know, that's another question. Please, please. I mean, if you raise your hand, you have the right to ask a question.
Okay, thank you for the presentation. Because we work on voice analysis, so it's a space very familiar. I was wondering, how do you overcome the dialect differences in Italy and Spain in particular? Thank you.
I mean, from our experience so far, dialect is not that big of a problem. I had this conversation with a few of you guys here, because medical language is pretty standardized. I think the biggest challenge is actually acronyms and expressions, and the fact that you might use the same sounding expression in 2 different specialties. So that's what we see as the biggest challenge. We're already tackling that with Romanian because we have Moldova, which is a separate country that speaks an older version of Romanian, and we do have a customer there, and we see that that's not an issue because, you know, a biomarker is a biomarker. It's called the same, you know, all over. So for us, at least, we haven't seen that being an issue, really. Yeah.
Thank you. Roberto.
One more question.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, I was going to ask a question about the sales cycle, and clearly enough, it's 12 months. So that's a long sales cycle expected. What's your burn rate like? But I mean, you know, 200K, is that going to cover you?
Well, yeah, I mean, we are very good at cost saving. I have to say this year was amazing for that. Now it's about 10K per month. It was 15, but we scaled down to 10K. Yeah, yeah.
Impressive.
But yeah, it's a bridge round to get us to the revenue that is going to come next year, but most of it is PNRR money. You know all about that. So hospitals take PNRR money and they organize tenders where we participate. Takes time.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Wanda. Congrats for MediNav. We got the chance to know better the 6 startups who took part in the program. As I said many times, they are here for any question later on. But now let me welcome on stage Anastasiya Markvarde, who is the senior manager of the VITA Accelerator program. Please, Anastasiya, tell us everything about VITA and what will happen in the future. I mean, please, if you want, we can see it.
Hi, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here. And I know it's the second day. It's an afternoon of the second day of the conference, but bear with me just for 10 minutes. So if you followed my sessions before, you know that I like to share some crystallized learnings from what we've done. And during our last demo day, I shared more on like how we structure the program, what's the value for the partners, what's the value for the startups. So if you haven't watched that, just go to the VITA YouTube channel and watch the video. But now we are at our second year, so I decided, well, let's share some useful learnings from the journey. And by now, we are able to say that we have some best practices for accelerators. So I thought of a few points, and I'm going to talk a bit about corporate startup collaboration, online, on-site sessions, events, knowledge sharing, and building the ecosystem. And of course, after that, I'll jump into announcing the next VITA program. So let's get started. So the trickiest point of all this, I think, is corporate startup collaboration. So first of all, if you think about Italy, Italy is probably not the country that comes to mind when you speak about corporate startup collaboration. So here you go with some recent data. A very recent report from 2023 says that Italy has the highest number, the highest percentage of corporates that are both collaborated with startups and have these projects scheduled in the near future. So I think that's something about the market we're in. Then, as you know, we spent 2 years facilitating corporate startup projects, and there is a lot to that. But I would say, first of all, clear objectives on both sides documented are very important because, you know, the startup mentality, startups usually like to get their foot in the door, by all means to start talking to the corporate, but then they're maybe expecting something else that rather than what was offered at the start. So I would say this is very important to agree what's going to happen. Then as far as a corporate, I think it takes really a lot of time to identify key resources inside the corporation. So really pay attention to that one. And maybe something not very straightforward from the startups. So, you know, another stereotype from the industry when we think about corporate startup collaboration, we think of startups that just running after the corporates, begging them to collaborate and do something, and the corporates are like, let me finish my coffee, then I'll talk to you, maybe. But then interesting thing is that it's very impossible to ensure startups' commitment and capacity to deliver, because we learned that it's not always the case that startup is ready to do anything to get corporate's attention. So I think it's important to know if you're getting into this. And finally, you might have all the money, you might have all the plans, you might have everything figured out, but I think it's very important to remember that we're working with people, and especially corporates and startups do have different mindsets, but in terms of approach to work, in terms of values, I think it's very important to align. That was mentioned earlier during the panel with the partners. So be aware of that one. Then let's talk about logistics a bit. Again, it might seem very easy, but first when we started the program, we were just out of COVID, the restrictions were dropped, and we were like, okay, let's do like events on site, people are hungry for events, let's do everything in person. Then we were looking at other accelerators, and you know, everyone was jumping to like full online programs, and we were like, okay, maybe that's not needed at all, and we'll save money on travels, and we'll just be better off online. But in reality, of course, balance is key. And I don't know if you heard this recent study published by Yale University just a week ago about how our brain reacts to Zoom calls. So basically, bad news, your brain activity drops significantly compared to like in-person conversation when you're talking on Zoom. So it's definitely very valuable to meet in person. And yeah, this year we added a new location to our list. So usually we met in Salerno, headquarters of Healthware Group, and then Open Zone campus in Bresso. And this year we had a chance to go to sunny Catania, to the facilities of our corporate partner SIFI, and also visit their manufacturing facilities as well. And another learning from here is that it might seem that, you know, the world is so connected now and you can do things online, but the reality is when you travel, you get to know local ecosystems, and maybe it's specifically true for such countries as Italy, where a lot is managed by region, including funding for startups and many other opportunities. So it's really worth getting on a plane for some of those sessions and meeting people around. Then in terms of events, I wrote some things here, but actually the only thing I want to say now is that look around you. We have the fullest session that I've seen around 2 days of Frontiers. Like if you look at the people sitting next to you, they're the most sought after people in the digital health industry. So I think that's the key. You need to connect with people, you need to build your ecosystem. And of course, we're very grateful to all the partners that come to our events. Some of them were complaining that I didn't mention them last year, so now they can see themselves on the pictures. And, remember that people that are coming to your events are usually doing this pro bono. They're professionals, highly quoted in their industry, but they're doing it pro bono, so you need to be very interactive, engage them, and arrange some one-to-one sessions in advance, which actually really helped our teams a lot. Well, something a bit less obvious maybe as well, when you think about an acceleration program, what comes to your mind is that, you know, the knowledge flows from the mentors to the startups that come to your program. In reality, what we discovered is that it's so precious when you see this knowledge flowing all the ways. So not only from mentors, but also from partners to startups. So like in case of mentoring, from founders to funders, from our alumni community, from the first and second batch that are so active organizing different activities are also present here today in person. And as well, even from the startups and partners to accelerator team. Of course, we can mention as well the exposure of internal resources of the corporates that are always welcome to our sessions, both in person and online, as we're using Accelerator's platform to record all the content and share it later on with everybody. So this is one of the things that I think defines an accelerator. About ecosystem, I think especially for such a complex industry as healthcare, it's important to have it covered from all sides. So we're especially proud that we have different actors of the ecosystem partnering with us, such as hospitals, investors, industry associations, and various clusters, regions, and hubs, because all of them bring different pieces of puzzle together. And of course, it wouldn't be me if I didn't share some things that don't work. So what doesn't work is, of course, in innovation relying on the best case scenario and trying to force innovation processes. We actually have one of the mentors that comes to mentor MDR strategy, so how to get a medical certification for your startup. And he usually starts saying like, this is like pregnancy, this is like having a baby. You can't anticipate it. It's gonna take you 2 years, whether you're lucky, unlucky, you're trying to force it or not. So here you go, like no chance trying to really rush things. Maybe what's important here is also that, of course, all the sessions need to be tailored to the startups, and we are happy that we are receiving very high results of our surveys that we do with startups after the sprints in terms of the results and how they see the sessions are valuable for them. Maybe a bit about the media. So when you launch an accelerator, it looks like, wow, something super important, the digital health accelerator working in Italy and providing such amazing opportunities. But maybe when you talk with startup media, they understand it and they're ready to talk about it and write things. But when you talk to generic media, they don't really understand what you're doing. So that's important to build relationship with them as well and engage them all the time. And finally, well, there are a lot of you here in the audience sitting here doing other programs, and of course you need to take all advice with a pinch of salt because each program is different from one another. And with that, I'm thanking our partners that are staying with us, our innovation partner ZetaCube, our corporate partners Petrone, Sifi, and our technical partner Ordic. And thanks for being here in person as well. And let's talk a bit about the future. That's why we're all here. So, yeah, I decided that I ask Midjourney how Midjourney sees the future of a venture investor in digital health in Italy. Well, one good thing, if this is how AI imagines the job of a venture investment, my job is safe, at least for a couple of years more. But rather than that, if we're going back to reality, we're announcing officially the start of submissions to our 2024 program. The link is open on our website, and we welcome all the applications from the startups. Please just go there and apply. We're reviewing all the applications on the rolling basis, so the sooner you apply, the more chance you get an answer. And then we're gonna add the dates, the specific dates and the specific deadlines for this program soon, because the same as with this program, we started around June, we finished around November, so the program is expected to start late Q2, so that's why we decided that we'll add the specific dates later on. And meanwhile, please go there, apply, and there will be more innovation challenges from our partners published, and we hope that the future is bright. If you haven't had a chance to make a picture of our alumni, please do so now. That's exactly why I'm here, so this is the most important slide. Make sure you have all these amazing companies you have all their contacts, you have the founders, so reach out to them. We're now staying here for some networking, and we encourage you to support them and go talk to them. Thank you very much. Thank you for coming to the demo day. Thank you for being here, and if you have any comments or questions, feel free to reach out to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Anastasiya. Most of all. Actually, I had to say thank you to all the people who Anastasiya already thanked, but Anastasiya, because Anastasiya is, you might know, is really the woman behind all of this. Therefore, I think, even if you have just uploaded, that she deserves another round of applause. And I had to tell you that soon there will be the call for the program 2024, and Anastasiya already said it. I just remind you to follow the LinkedIn page, most of all of the VITA program, because there you will have all the developments. I thank you, the founders, first of all the mentors, all the partners that are here, departing from the innovation partner and the corporate partners. Therefore, to Z-Cube, Accelerace, GDP Venture Capital, and obviously Petrone Group and Sifi Group, a big thank you. And I would ask the speakers of the panels, therefore the partners, the founders, to join me on stage for a nice group picture. And thank you very much, everyone. Long life to VITA Accelerator. Bye-bye.